सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Astronomers using the Dark Energy Camera or DE-CAM of the Blanco telescope at the Cerro Tololo Inter-American Observatory in Chile have identified a planet-killer asteroid that is about to graze Earth's orbit, as many headlines have reported so far. One of the authors of this discovery itself has called this rock a planet killer, and at nearly 1.5 kilometers wide, it is actually the largest potentially hazardous asteroid or PHA to be discovered in nearly 8 years. PHAs are a subgroup of NEOs or near-Earth objects, which are asteroids that are close to Earth's orbit, and PHAs are the ones that have the potential to harm our planet in some way, as their name suggests. Astronomers have been observing these near-Earth objects and asteroids and have catalogued thousands of them. So how do they miss something that is so big and actually crosses Earth's orbit? And how much risk is the Earth under, if not now, in the future when the asteroid swings back in its orbit? For that, we'll need to understand just where the asteroid is coming from, why we didn't see it all this while, and where Earth is now in its orbit when the asteroid is passing. I'm Sandhya Ramesh and this is Pure Science. First things first, is this rock going to hit Earth? Not this time around. Is it going to fly close to Earth where we can actually see it? Not really. It's millions of kilometers away, actually on the other side of Earth's orbit. So that's that, with all the risk that this asteroid poses this year, this weekend, when it comes to this rock. What's interesting at the moment is how this asteroid was discovered and why. The Twilight Survey with the DE-CAM is one of the largest and most powerful and sensitive searches being performed for objects that are inside Earth's orbit and near Venus's orbit. This might sound a bit basic. There are just 2 planets within Earth's orbit. Shouldn't we know everything that's here so close to us between and the Sun? But we actually do not. These orbits are separated by thousands and millions of kilometers, and within this space there is so much vastness and emptiness that we actually don't know every object that is here or visits this space while transiting in its orbit. In fact, we even discovered one of Earth's quasi-moons and an Earth Trojan only recently. The main problem when we study anything between us and the Sun is, well, the Sun. We miss any objects between us and the Sun due to the sheer brightness of the Sun and its glare, which prevents us and our instruments from seeing literally anything else. The Sun lowers visibility to nil during the day in the sky, and of course at night we are facing the other way, so we can't really spot anything between us and the Sun. That is how this rock was not spotted until now, and this is also why the area within the Earth's orbit can at times feel less familiar than the area beyond Earth, which we can observe all night and very clearly. This is the case even when we look at planets with our naked eyes. The Moon, Mars and beyond, including Jupiter and Saturn, and in fact even the asteroid belt through the telescope, are visible to us throughout the night. But planets that are within Earth's orbit, like Venus and Mercury, are visible only at twilight, when the Sun is dim enough to enable visibility, but the Earth is also still only rotated enough for planets on this side to be visible. As the Earth rotates more, the night objects beyond Earth become visible. This is why we can spot Venus only at twilight, at dawn or dusk. Thus, even these asteroids can be picked up only at twilight, with 10-minute windows for this telescope at dawn and dusk. This asteroid was actually discovered as a part of a trio. This asteroid is called the 2022 AP7 for Apollo-type asteroid. There are 2 others that were found, which are named the 2021 LJ4 and 2021 PH27. These other 2 asteroids have orbits that are entirely within Earth's orbit, so they orbit the Sun inside of Earth's orbit and don't cross it. These type of asteroids are extremely rare, and there are only 28 known so far that are within Earth's orbit with a well-defined orbit of their own. Their orbits don't intersect with Earth orbit, and these asteroids are called the Atira asteroids. These are very rare, or at least they are very rarely catalogued because they're so hard to spot. Atira objects are not a threat to Earth unless they are disturbed and sway from their orbits. By contrast, Apollo asteroids are those whose orbit intersects with the Earth's. These asteroids come from outside Earth orbit and along the course of their journey cross Earth's orbit. These asteroids, of course, are much easier to spot, and we know of over 10,000 Apollo asteroids of various sizes. Of these Apollo asteroids, 1,600 have been identified as PHAs, or potentially hazardous asteroids, which could collide with Earth at some point or impact us in some way. A famous example of an Apollo asteroid that actually did so in living memory is the 2013 Chelyabinsk meteorite, which exploded over Russia, injuring nearly 1,500 people. The largest known Apollo asteroid is the 1866 Sisyphus. There are two other groups or class of asteroids. Amur asteroids come close to Earth on the outside but are still inside of Mars's orbit. And the Athens group is again Earth crossing, but they come from inside Earth orbit, so their maximum distance from the Sun is very close to Earth's orbit. Now back to our Apollo asteroid, the 2022 AP7 and the other two that were discovered along with it. The 2021 PH7 is the closest asteroid to come to the Sun. It is over a kilometer in diameter, and as it approaches the Sun, its surface gets extremely hot. In fact, hot enough to melt lead. It reaches 500 degrees Celsius, just like the surface of Venus. Its orbit is slightly unstable, and in a few million years, it will eventually collide with Venus or break up over it. Since it is so close to the Sun, it also experiences the maximum relativistic effects in our solar system, even more than Mercury does. That is probably a video for another day. The other Atira type asteroid is 2021 LG4. It is thought to be about 300 to 400 meters wide, and it crosses the orbits of both Venus and Mercury. There's nothing more significant about this particular rock. Then we come to the planet killer, the 2022 AP7. This rock is what has been making news as it crosses Earth's orbit in its journey this weekend. This time around, we are on the other side of the Sun as the asteroid crosses our orbit. But that's only for now. It has an orbital period of 5 years, almost exactly, and it is very large, nearly 1.5 kilometers wide. It was in fact literally discovered because the Earth is on the other side of the Sun, and because the Sun's light makes it seem brighter from this angle. Had we been any closer to the rock, we would not have spotted it, as we hadn't in the last several decades. When an asteroid poses a risk to Earth and is on a collision course with Earth, the only viable defense we have right now is to throw a projectile at the rock, hoping that it deviates from its orbit. NASA has already tested this in theory with the NASA DART mission when it sent a projectile to collide into the moon of an asteroid, successfully displacing it and altering its orbit by a few minutes. But that is still for later. What is more significant in this finding is the finding of this rock itself. Today, such a discovery is possible only because of how state-of-the-art DE-CAM and the Blanco telescope are, and how sensitive this instrument is. The discovery of 2022 AP7 specifically shows how upcoming sensitive and more powerful telescopes could potentially observe a large number of such objects that could be hazardous to us, and successfully do so with 10-minute windows at just twilight.